Would I be the a-hole for suing my daughter-in-law? Our son and daughter-in-law, both 26 years old, have been together for 2 years and living together for a good portion of that time. From the start, we always thought she was a very nice girl. She seemed to make our son happy, and we had no issues with their relationship. Our son has his own law firm that he's trying to get off the ground, and we couldn't be more proud of him. Thankfully, we've been fortunate enough to help him with a startup loan to assist with his business venture. Our daughter-in-law works a retail job, which she seems perfectly content with. She doesn't have any major ambitions for career advancement, but that's her choice, and we've respected it. Things have always been relatively calm in our family until something happened that turned everything upside down. Some time ago, my husband and I were visiting their apartment for a casual get-together, and we decided to order food. My husband and I offered to pay, and since our daughter-in-law was placing the order on her phone, we handed her our credit card to pay for lunch. We didn't think much of it at the time, but we assumed she would charge the amount once for the meal, and then that would be it. To our shock, we later found out that our daughter-in-law had put our card into her Apple Pay account. Over the course of several months, she continued to use it without our knowledge. We didn't realize anything was wrong until recently when we noticed several transactions that we didn't recognize. Our accountant took a look at our finances and discovered that, over the course of several months, our daughter-in-law had spent roughly $17,000 using our card. Naturally, we were completely shocked. We called her up immediately and asked why she had been using our card without permission. At first, she got defensive and tried to deny everything. She later admitted to it, though, saying she felt entitled to the money. She even had the audacity to ask why we cared, since we hadn't noticed for over 4 months. We told her that this wasn't just about the money. It was about the fact that she had stolen a large sum from us while we hadn't been paying attention. We demanded that she pay us back immediately, or we would report her actions to the authorities as theft. She claimed that she didn't have the money to pay us back, which only further infuriated us. We went to our son for help, and although he offered to pay us back, it was clear that he couldn't afford it either. This wasn't about the money, though. It was about the betrayal and the utter disrespect she had shown by using our credit card without our consent. Our son's response was disappointing, to say the least. He excused her actions, attributing them to her being stressed out, and he dismissed the seriousness of what had happened. He didn't seem to care that his partner had stolen from us. We were at a crossroads. On one hand, we wanted to protect our son and save him from making a huge mistake. But on the other, we wanted to make sure that there were consequences for her actions. Our son's dismissive attitude towards his girlfriend's theft was baffling, and we started seriously considering whether we should report her to the police. It was at this point that we began wondering if we would be the a-holes in the situation. After all, our son was clearly in love with her, and we knew that pressing charges could potentially damage our relationship with him. He might resent us for taking legal action against the woman he loved. But after much deliberation, we realized that this wasn't just about our son's feelings. It was about standing up for what was right. She had stolen a significant amount of money from us, and there needed to be consequences for her actions. Update 1. Thank you all for the feedback and support. We've been going back and forth on this for a while, and it's been an emotionally taxing time. We want to fight for our son, but we also know that pressing charges against his partner could lead to tension in the family, potentially causing a rift that might never heal. Our daughter-in-law has shown no remorse for her actions. She has been entirely unapologetic, even going so far as to claim that we are overreacting. When we investigated further, we discovered that she had spent the stolen money on expensive dinners, new clothes, jewelry, and handbags. Our son had no idea about the extent of her spending, as she had kept it hidden from him. He seemed genuinely shocked when we told him how much she had spent. Since that initial confrontation, our son has become increasingly distant. He has completely excused his girlfriend's behavior, insisting that she's under a lot of stress and that we should give her a break. But we couldn't ignore the gravity of the situation. He had completely dismissed the seriousness of what she had done. Update 2. Thank you all again for your thoughtful advice. After much soul searching, my husband and I decided that we could no longer let this go. We agreed that we had to press charges. But before we did so, we wanted to talk to our son one last time to explain our reasoning. Since he had been avoiding our calls and texts, we decided to show up at his office to have a face-to-face conversation. I know this may sound like boundary crossing, but we were desperate to make him understand how serious this was. At first, he was angry and asked us to leave, but after a tense moment, he calmed down and agreed to listen. We laid out everything that had happened, and to say the least, he was completely blindsided. He apologized profusely, crying a little, and begged for our forgiveness. Apparently, he had been misled by his girlfriend. She told him that we had gifted her the money as a way of welcoming her into the family and that we had given her carte blanche to buy whatever she wanted. She had even convinced him that we were trying to manipulate her into getting rid of her so that we could control his life. Our son was under the impression that she had spent maybe $3,000 to $5,000, not the full $17,000. He was livid when he learned the truth. He was actually the one who convinced us to go ahead with the legal action. Right then and there, he helped us call the police. We all went back to their apartment and packed up her things before she came home. Since she wasn't on the lease and was living rent-free, there was no issue with kicking her out. We offered to stay and help him with the fallout, but he wanted to handle it on his own. From what he told us, she didn't take the news well. Our daughter-in-law has now been pressed with criminal charges, and we're awaiting further updates. Our bank has also been informed, and we've been told that we'll likely be reimbursed for the stolen money. She has blown up at the entire family, but only our other daughter-in-law is taking her side. That's a whole different story for another time, though. At the end of the day, we're relieved that we took action. Our son has apologized and is now on the right side of things, and we feel like we've done the right thing. We're officially thief-free in the family, and we can finally move on from this nightmare of event.